and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Kammer, and this week I got to sit down with Lola Yara, otherwise known as Lola the Adventurer, a veteran of the Colorado Rocky Mountain independent scene. Had a fun little conversation about character work, if that's kind of your bag. I think it's really interesting because she is one of those performers, one of those wrestlers that will drastically change their character dependent on the booking. And I think that part's like really fascinating to me, of like the full concept of like the three faces of Foley in action. And of course we talk about other things as well. Talked about her time in Rocky Mountain Wrestling, the importance of having a great women's division, and the just underutilization of women in independent wrestling and just professional wrestling in general, whether it's from the smallest of smalls to the WWEs and AEWs. So with that said, let's let Lola tell her story and take a pause. We'll go get an energy drink, go get a cup of coffee, get yourself a whole gosh darn coffee maker, and we'll be back with Lola the Adventurer. Hey folks, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top of the line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, like, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast. As I said at the top of the show, very special guest sitting in the studio this evening. She has gone by a handful of names, but most notably Lola, whether it's the form of Lola Yara or Lola the Adventurer. Either way, Lola is here today. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on the show. I always start off the program with the always original, never before asked question in the realm of wrestling podcasting. What made you a fan of professional wrestling?
Originally, my dad, he started watching CMLL when I was, I don't know, maybe like 5, 6 years old, and at that point I was like, I don't know what this is. It's kind of boring, I want to watch cartoons. But then I remember this one day I don't know, like he put on like um it was like Rey Mysterio and like Eddie Guerrero, over the custody of Dominic Mysterio, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And so that's like, how I got, like, it drew me in. And then after that, my dad would just kind of watch it, and I just didn't growing up, whatever, But I remember this one day, I was at my grandparents' house, and I turned on Telemundo, and it was Raw, and it was in Spanish, of course, and it was Matt Hardy versus Randy Orton, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I remember. I used to like this when I was little." Like, what this is still going on? And then I remember on the apron, it said WWE.com. And so I was like, "Hey, I need to go on the website." So I did, and I found the list of, when all the shows would air, and I would just watch it every Monday, every Tuesday, every Friday. Yeah, I would watch WWE.
I think I'm still kind of like reeling that you thought CMLL was boring,
Yeah,
like because usually
little.
Lucha. I mean, that's fair too. I was just like stereotypically like Lucha is a little bit more, I mean, visual. We'll call it visually cartoonish, just
Yeah.
because it tends to be a lot brighter colors and a lot more like athletic showmanship compared to like say your WWE or whatnot. So I'm just like, I don't think I've ever heard someone call Lucha boring. But
Well,
then again, if
no,
you're
like now, I mean, I love it. It's incredible. I'm actually really hooked on AAA right now. And then just like the clips and reels that I see of CMLL, they're great too. But I mean, I'm right now I'm pretty hooked on AAA for sure.
I think AAA is a little bit more accessible. I am not a big AAA person, but I feel with thanks to like the WWE partnership, they've become a little bit more accessible north of the border than CMLL is. Though I think you still get CMLL either on Triller or one of the streaming services,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's it's something just like wrestling in general. Something's becoming more accessible to the general populace, which as a wrestling fan, and in my case, not necessarily someone who's into the big two, I love it all. Just the fact that it's all at my fingertips. But you've established that you are a WWE girl. Who did you kind of look up to in those formative years of your, we'll call it refandom?
Yeah. So Shawn Michaels for sure. Um, and oh man, I grew up in the Divas era, so Melina.
She stood out.
Yeah.
So no shade on that one. I might roll my eyes at Bella Twins, but
Oh,
uh,
I love them too, but yeah.
yeah, joking aside though,
Melina.
but Melina kind of like had a little extra, had a little extra something about her, and I mean maybe that's because puberty and being a boy and that entrance, but that's again we'll just chalk that up to Divas era. That's what we'll blame that on. Um, but from there, what made you choose to cross the guardrail, so to speak, and become a professional wrestler in your own right?
Um, yeah, so after watching it for a while, when I was 16, I actually joined UCW Zero in Utah. So I did that for about 8 months. It was really cool because at that time, Martin Casaus had come back from WWE Tough Enough. So I was able to train with him. Um, but it was just me and then another girl, and she was 16. So I was 16, and the girl was probably 23. And my mom just didn't feel comfortable with me being around older men, So she pulled me out. And at the time, I was really, really mad because I didn't fully understand why. I just, she's destroying my dreams. So, um, but I think it was also the best thing because I needed to live life and grow up a little bit on my own. And so coming back 7 years later, there was a new training school, DCW. So I actually trained there for about 2 years, and then I moved to Colorado, and that's where I started training and doing more shows with Rocky Mountain Pro.
Oh, right on. So what caused the jump to Colorado from DCW? DCW is Utah, correct? So what
Yes,
caused that
yes.
jump?
Yes. So I was mainly wrestling the boys, which is fine. But I wanted to wrestle more girls. There was only me and two other girls, and then one of them, she had moved to Atlanta, and so then it was just going to be me and another girl. And I was like, I want to wrestle other girls. And at that time, I was also wrestling in Colorado so I was going back and forth, and um, I really liked the community as well. I mean, I loved the people in DCW, but I just needed that extra push, that extra and that's what Rocky Mountain Pro has, and so that's why I moved here, and I've been in Colorado for about 5 years, I think now. So
Cool. I call it peripherally familiar with Rocky Mountain Pro. Like they're not something I watch on the weekly because I know they have at least one, maybe two streaming shows and or local television. But I've watched a handful of episodes over the years, and I've actually gotten. I've talked to Noel Summit off and on in the last
oh,
a
nice.
handful of years as well. So like I've kind of seen like that Rocky Mountain usually has like at least a small kind of women's division going with a handful of names in it at any given time. So, which is kind of rare in the independent scene, like the smaller independent scene. So, I that's definitely a good choice of place to go. And since then, Rocky Mountain has been kind of like your home promotion from what I've seen. You can correct me if I'm wrong because I don't have fingers everywhere. Um, but what's it like working for Rocky Mountain? Because again, they actually have kind of a dedicated live show, monthly events plus the weekly television show as well.
Yeah, I had someone explain it as like a mini TNA. Like we run yes, weekly shows um every Monday and Tuesday, something like that. I usually watch it late, so my schedule might be off. But yeah, no, and we do shows. Sometimes we do shows from like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so and we tour all over Colorado. Sometimes we go up to Wyoming, um, and it's great because I feel like with most companies, you just get to wrestle once or twice a month. And with Rocky Mountain Pro, you don't. It's literally every single weekend. And just we have a writer. We get to work with D'Lo Brown. We've worked with Vince Russo as well. And we have we have a production truck, and so it's just it's just a really cool experience that makes it seem that we are in a higher level. I guess we're like a higher indie, I guess you can say.
Right, because not too many indies like have like proper television per self in a way, and that in a way that's broadcasted live like that. Um, how big of an adjustment is that? Working, we'll call it your standard indie, the standard indies, where yeah, it's recorded, but when it sees the light of day, it'll just be kind of like YouTube randomly to television where you have to hit marks.
Yes. I mean, it has its pros and cons, right? Because, sometimes there's a specific story you need to tell. And so you you can't just go off and do what you want per se because it's all about the story. And not only that, but there's also the timing where sometimes I've had a 5-minute match that then got cut down to 3 minutes to then 1 minute, and I wasn't even out yet because there were other people that were going over. And um, so it's in that sense, it's a lot different, but it's also fun. And I like the challenge of that as well. Is okay, did I hit it? Did I hit my timing?
And some of that stuff, I mean, is crazy. I am a ardent supporter of Brutal Bob Evans, and
Oh,
he'd thrown out I've taken one of his like, we'll call it was below 101. I mean, let's be realistic. If they let me in the class, it's below 101. Um, but kind of like seeing kind of like how he would format like chunks of shows, and then also television, and just the drastic difference between the two of them was just like insane to me as an outsider. I'd hate to think about it as a performer, the like how almost strict and structured you would have to be in this environment, because you do have to hit those marks. You got to watch out for commercial. You got to, make sure your
yeah.
time is met so you're not, you know, well, cutting somebody else's match in the process, or, adding time to your match that you weren't expecting to. It's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And then, yeah, but then when I go to shows where it's not televised, yes, it's recorded. Um, but then I have more freedom to do what I want in that sense. I get to tell my own story. And, yeah, maybe we can go 10 to 15, but they also won't get mad if we go a little shorter. So yeah. So I like both
Oh, as you said, there's pros and cons to everything,
for sure.
and the perks of a lot of things in life is we have the right to just enjoy and work whatever, and hopefully work within whatever system works best for you, or using one or the other to kind of hone your craft further, which in the case of television is always kind of a good thing to get more eyes out there for you.
Yes.
um
Yeah.
so I guess my next question to go along with that is, since you guys have the TV and all the extra stuff, like how does that affect like how many reps you're kind of like getting on the scene? Is that like really helping you out getting more reps on the indies, or is it just something that's kind of, I don't want to say stifling, that you're kind of to be part of TV and be available for TV, but you're getting are you getting more matches in because of the TV, or is this something you kind of have to work around?
Um, that is also a double-edged sword, because yes, as I mentioned, we wrestle every single weekend. I mean, and now thankfully we have more girls than what we did before. So actually, now we're starting to get a little bit less than what we normally do, and sometimes it's a little weird. But it's a good balance, because now, yes, if I want to travel and I need to go somewhere else, then I don't feel bad that the other girl probably won't get a match because I'm not there. Um, so it's been really really great. Just how much RMP has grown, and how many reps um, our new students are getting as well. Um, that now we are able to do both. That we are, if we want to be there every single weekend and we don't want to travel, we can do that. But if we do want to travel, we can do that as well, because we have enough people to do that.
And I think especially for women's division, that's amazing to hear, because let's face it, the women's wrestling is woefully underrepresented in
Yeah.
professional wrestling in general, and it just like even having enough people to say you have a division for the women, I think is something that can makes makes a company stand out from a
Yes.
lot of its. I don't want to necessarily use the word competitors, because there's a big enough chunk of the pie for everyone else, but you know,
Yeah.
um, but it's something to set yourself apart as a product as well. Um, and kind of like transferring along to this, but so Rocky Mountain has kind of been your home and has seen your ups and downs through the career. I know you've spent a lot of time as kind of like perennial number one contender, but you've also gotten yourself a run with the Lockettes championship. So like how big of a deal was that for you, going from like kind of like eternal number one contender to now I get to have the championship and be the face of the division?
That was a pretty insane moment. It was very emotional for sure, because I had been with the company for a very long time. Um, and so to finally win the Lockett's champion was incredible, and also in in a moment, again, and sorry I'm repeating this again, but just in a moment where like we actually do have a division, was just so wonderful. um, and yeah, I can't really describe it, but it was very incredible and a very special moment for sure.
And I do have to ask. So you took the championship as Lola Yara. Is there like is there any sort of, I don't know, like disappointment, or I don't want to use the word bitter, but like we'll go stupid disappointment that the championship came from this as part of this evolution from the adventurer, since you spent a lot of your career as Lola the Adventurer?
Um, I love Lola the Adventurer, which and most of my outside bookings I do as Lola the Adventurer. Um, and so, uh, I feel like the timing of me getting that belt was just perfect, because I think if I gotten it as Lola the Adventurer, I don't know. I don't think it would have been as believable. Um and that's fine and that's okay. And I'm glad that it took that long, for me to actually become Lola Yara and become who I am, to get that belt. So um yeah, no, there's no bitterness at all. And I love the longest reigning number one contender. I love that title, actually.
Well, I mean, it's one of the classic professional wrestling stories is the chase. So,
Yes,
and at a certain level, to have that chase, you got to be an important person in the division, even if you aren't the quote unquote like top dog or face of the proper face of the division or whatnot. I mean, look at some of the great chases throughout wrestling history, and obviously, we love ourselves a good underdog story as well.
for sure. Yes, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, everything has its time, and so I don't know. And I'm also the person that just goes with the flow. I take what's given. I take what's given, and so yeah,
No, and that's fair. And I will point out like regard like you're in good hands like with kind of like the crowd around Rocky Mountain Pro because they have brought in kind of a variable who's who like through the years to either perform or work backstage because you mentioned D'Lo Brown and Vince Russo, and I know Al Snow's had his hands in there as well. I don't know if he still does or not now that he's more with Ohio Valley, but that's an on point kind of as well that he's had his fingers in handed training on top of it. So like having that sort of safety net or people who've had worked the business at a high level of success that long to kind of like push things. I think it shows that regardless of whether it's Lola the Adventurer or Lola Yara, time is right and timing is everything. Um,
yes,
but before I got off on that tangent, so but this was such like a drastic difference, kind of in character and like in ring attitude. Like, what was that like going from the adventurer to Yara? Like in your head, like as a performer.
yeah. So um, it's funny. So yes, it is a very drastic change for sure. But at the same time, there are still similarities in the sense of um, the base is that I am Peruvian. So Lola the Adventurer is from the Amazon jungle. Lola Yara is from Lima, Peru. They're both in Peru. And, Dora is Peruvian, and I will say that. Um, but as the adventurer, I love children, and so that was always just so much fun. That sometimes like these like little kids looked at me like I was a princess, and they would always want pictures with me, and sometimes like they would bring me Dora stuff for them to sign, and so it was so cute. Especially my niece. I remember when the movie came out, and she was like, "That's you," and I'm like, "It's not," but okay, I'll take it. So I love that. And so when I switched to Lola Yara, now to me being mean to these kids, you know, because they're booing me, um, or that was a little hard. That was a little hard in the beginning, but now it's fun, and those kids get into it. They get into it. They love booing me, and it's so much fun. Then and at the end of the day, I want them to have fun, and I want them, if they want to scream and yell at someone, yes, do it to me. So yeah,
Cheering or booing, that's the sign of your success as a performer. Like at least they're reacting instead of just sitting there on
yes,
their hands. And I will talk a lot of smack about children in general, but like children in the wrestling environment is always just so interesting because they do kind of can take that show kind of to the next level, especially in a smaller environment, just because
Yeah.
like they do really get into it, and you never and there's a little like extra layer of chaos to go along with how children behave one way or another. That's always kind of like refreshing to see. Uh, in any sort of performance art where you're allowed to be spontaneous, I think. But you mentioned that you do we'll call it the dueling personalities. You do take bookings as both. So like okay, I'm old, and so my memory is just slipping in general. So like
No
I feel
worries.
like just a switching character like on a week to week or maybe even the same weekend, like that would be hard for me as someone's getting old and set in my ways. Like, how is that difficult for you to go from like one character to the next, like in a short order?
Yes. I feel like sometimes when there are things that happen in a match that I get frustrated, or sometimes my day is hard. Just, earlier in the day, something happened. And as Lola Yara, I'm able to take it out on my opponent easily and just show it in my face. And because it's just, all part of the show. But as the adventurer, I have to, okay, suck it up, put a smile on your face. Let's think about something positive. And then if something happens in the match, then I'm like, ugh, okay, keep smiling. It's okay, it's fine. Don't. So I kind of feel like Hulk in that sense of like, don't turn. So sometimes it does get difficult.
I will say at least you got like two distinct character things going on. So when you switch from good guy to bad guy, like there's distinct visual clues rather than like, oh, I am same person, just now I'm the bad guy over here. And like
Yeah.
and as a fan, like I appreciate that because I will always say like I never like realized that people would just switch alignments just depending on what company they worked for until like I was in my mid 20s. And
Okay.
I just remember going to like it was like 2 weeks in a row. Went to one show, like both companies I'd gone to regularly, so like I just had a half an idea of like how the roster dynamics were. And
Yeah.
the one place the guy's a total bad guy, you boo him. He's a snarky, smart aleck. Gotta hate him. And then like the next weekend, he debuted for another company that I'd go see on like the other end of the state. They'd go north and south, and I heard, but he kept the same theme music, and so I like no one else is using U2 on the indies, and so I heard U2
Uh,
and just instantly just started booing because I just
uh,
assumed it was him because who else is using
yeah.
U2? And it was him, sure enough. But he hits the curtain. He's like, "Yeah, come on, baby, let's do this, woo!" We're like,
Oh no.
oh no. I mean, yes, I'm a fan. I bought a ticket. I can cheer, boo, however I want. But like, I want to have a reason to boo you if I'm being if I'm being mean to you. And
Yeah.
I just preemptively just assumed he was the jerk from company number one. And nope, totally different in company number two, but still kept the same name, same music, same tights. He's just happy go lucky. They're like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely an advantage in that sense because if I'm adventure, you already know what you're gonna get. If I'm Yara, you know what you're gonna get as well because we don't have the same music either. So and the look is
Right.
completely different as well.
It is very very drastic, and now that my brain's working properly, or not properly, however you want to look at it, I have to ask: have you ever gotten to pull off kind of like a three faces of Foley kind of thing in like a battle royal, where you've come out as one, get eliminated, and come out as the other?
No, but I like that.
That's that's like one of my
Interesting.
favorite Royal Rumble moments is we got to see all three faces of Foley. And I want to say it was like
Yeah.
98 or 99. Like he's like started as like cactus, got thrown out, and yeah, I can't remember the order of it because it's been forever since I've seen it. But yeah, he pulled all three faces of Foley. It came out like 10 spots apart for each, so he had time to change into a different pair of sweatpants. And
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That would be really fun, actually. That would be so much fun. No, I have not done that.
Well, like I said, I would say go ahead and steal that idea, but like I mean, obviously,
It
since
is
I'm
a great,
bringing up Mick Foley, I've already stolen the idea. So
yeah.
yeah, no, so there you go. Rumble seasons in 6 months. Keep that one in mind.
Oh yes, I will. I totally will.
um, but yeah, and not to kind of like belabor the point of the multiple disparate characters. Do you like at this stage of your career? Do you prefer one over the other at this point? Like, if you would take a booking, like out, well, oh, just in general, you take a booking, would you prefer it to be Lola Yara, or do you still prefer to come out as the adventurer?
That's really hard. I think that's why I like sticking with both because I like both a lot. Um, I still like being that like superhero, to the children. But I also enjoy like when I'm upset and just beating up people and not caring, what people think. um, so yeah, I can't. It's really hard for me to choose one, and I think that's why I just cut both.
No, that's fair. I know some folks like when they transition from characters or personas, like they want they want to leave one in the past. Like I've interviewed a gentleman named Maurice, and he was formerly one of the many Moondogs out on the Indies, and he finally just was like he'd slowly kind of like transition like a couple places he was Maurice, and then like everywhere else he'd be the Moondog, and he finally was just like, no, I really don't like the Moondog. I am just Maurice from here on out. So
Yeah.
so it's only one of those little things. It's like as a character guy, like I think it's just kind of interesting being able to pick brains about like, oh, I have all these characters going on, or I've done all these characters throughout my career. Like what was the impetus for one over the other, or this one makes me money, so I use it, but actually I prefer this one because this one's more fun, or insert anything, any other reason people prefer one thing over the other. Uh,
For sure, yeah, and Lola the Adventurer does make me money as well. So,
I mean,
which is why I take those bookings outside as the adventurer. Um, and I like being funny. I like being silly, and I think I could be more as the adventurer as well.
no, that's fair, and I think that's, I mean, shows versatility as a performer, and if you can do those things and make that character switch or that mindset switch or however we want to phrase it, it shows you can fit anywhere on the card. We don't have to just stick you in, I don't know, a comedy spot, or you
Yeah,
know token bad guy spot, or whatever, or we can, heck, even we can like merge things, and if you're willing to hang around for long enough, we can kind of do a character growth angle, or in this case it'd probably be closer to character bitterness and whatnot, to go from one to the other.
yeah.
But still, like, that's a story arc, and that's what professional wrestling is all about: the stories we tell in and
Hmm.
out of the ring. um but yeah, I did. I did see, because I, in what I call my research of just like clicking random links that you're attached to, is like those, like your PWT stores is still very much the adventurer. So
Yes.
there's a little bit of money coming in that way, one way, shape, or form. But digressing. I have to ask, as well as just the wrestling nerd in me. We've established that Vince Russo has worked with Rocky Mountain Pro. I don't know if he's still there or not. It's fine, but like, what's it work like? What's it like working with Vince, or with Vince's ideas?
Yeah. So I first worked with him at DCW, and that was really fun. um, and then after that, I got to work with him twice. So he's not working with us anymore. I think he's focused more on JCW. Um, but no, um, I don't like. He just comes up with like these like different, really creative stories, and lots of, and also for the episodes, it's more of like pre-tapes and stuff like that more than actual wrestling. And so the stories are more told, just talking to the camera than actually wrestling, I feel like. But no, I always enjoyed working with Russo for sure.
Oh, that's fair. And he obviously is very much a TV background kind of guy. And
Yeah.
like we can take the time to, depending on how your thoughts of his creative process is, take the time to praise him or slander him. But I think at the end of the day, to keep this neutral, is and nothing less that like he's a very creative individual. And like personally, like when I heard that he got hooked up with Juggalo Championship Wrestling, I was just like, if there's any wrestling in America that's like perfect for Vince
That's
Russo,
perfect for him.
and I don't
Yes.
mean this as an insult to him or
No.
JCW. Like it's an interesting show, but I'm just like a guy who's willing just to go out there like balls to the wall with like crazy ideas and then hooking up with the Insane Clown Posse and the Juggalo Championship Wrestling, who is also, has wacky balls to the wall ideas and characters. It's obviously like it should be a great fit. And it is what it is, depending on what your opinions are of professional wrestling. I know that chunk of things is not everyone's bag, but
Oh yeah, for
that's a
sure.
whole
Yeah,
nother.
not everyone agrees with it and whatever, but I enjoyed working with Russo and I like him as a person as well. So yeah, I don't have anything negative to say about him, and but I do think JCW is a great fit for sure.
But yeah, I don't think I mean, okay, I have, but like, but I've not had it off enough. But like, I've not had anybody like who's like it really acknowledged that they've worked under Vince Russo just because he is that kind of polarizing figure. And I know some of the other folks that I've talked to either informally or indirectly through the podcast, like done like random spots in Rocky Mountain, like weren't always willing to like name drop him. Though I will say, like, I've watched a couple televisions and like when I heard it, I'm like, oh, it actually makes sense now that you say he's there, because like that show is very much a like, or that particular episode, I'll phrase it, was very much like
Yeah.
a Russo episode, because I remember doing that one. Oh, and I know this is an aside, but watching a Charged once, and I'm just like, this is not how it was when I last time I watched the
Yeah.
show. And then like 3 months down the road, I was talking to Tommy Two Scoops, and he's
Okay.
just like, oh yeah, Vince Russo came in and we did blah blah blah, but he said it like all off the record, off air, and I'm just like, oh, well, that makes
Oh.
sense. Why that episode had a different feel to it. But but it explained everything. So actually, the like made sense. I'm like, oh, that would explain why things are going the way, the direction they took.
Yes.
And so like
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I just, again, like, I don't get to talk to too many people who willingly acknowledge that like they've got to work under Russo. Like they've thrown D'Lo under the bus, who's been amazing to work with. They've thrown Al Snow under the bus. I say this under the bus, and then like, oh no, they said nothing but great things about them. But like no, I don't know if everyone's just afraid to talk about Vince Russo or not.
I think so. Yeah.
um, but taking it back and more about you. So your primary home is Rocky Mountain Pro, but you have gotten to branch out throughout the state, California, or not California, sorry, Colorado, Rocky Mountain Pro in California, ladies and gentlemen. Um, but like I've also seen your name pop up several times in like Respect Women's Wrestling and a handful of other indies. But with kind of talking briefly about Respect, like what's it like having the opportunity to work in an all women's promotion such as Respect?
I'm just in general very passionate about women's wrestling. And so having a company that focuses on just women's wrestling, I think is very special. And not only that, but just having a group of girls that get along, I think is very rare. Um, and I think that's just what is so great, is that we're all here to have fun and to put on a show and to entertain all of these people, whether they're children, whether they're drunks, enjoying the show. We're all here to have fun, and so I think Respect is a very very special show, and I love it.
And I think they've done good work, and they've got enough of a rep that I mean they've brought in some. So we'll call them names, air quotes,
Yeah,
throughout the time, whether it's the form of Abaddon, Heidi Howitzer. I've seen her name thrown out there quite a bit. I know at least they've brought in Emmy Sakura at least once. I love Emmy to death. Uh,
yeah,
so I think it's they've gotten something kind of good over there, and I'm glad to hear that they're doing well, and you've got that it's a bit of positive experience as a whole.
yes, and yes, and also having a company that is able to bring in names like that, I think, is incredible as well.
Oh, and and I'm glad, and it's nice to see. I mean, because I know I don't want to say they're first, but like they are one of the longer uh running women's promotions out there. I know others more recently have either come back from a hiatus looking at like Girl Fight, or have just started within like the last year or so looking at uprising women's athletes in central Illinois. um, but it's great to see the women have another place to work, and in a way that they're not just kind of a novelty as well. Like, yes, women's wrestling has come a long way, but when you only have one women's match on the card, it kind of just makes you a novelty. And
Yeah,
as it's great to see like a whole company being based around this and just kind of normalize women in the sport.
yeah, for sure.
But but I think we'll take this opportunity to kind of wind down and be respectful for your time. And so we'll kind of like end things off on like kind of like a two-part put you over. Where can we find you on the social media? So where can we find you and follow along your journey? And then where can we see you live in the next couple of weeks or however far ahead you can remember?
Yeah, I know. um, so my Facebook is Lola the Adventurer, and then my Instagram and TikTok is Lola's dot big dot adventure, and so you can follow me there. And then we actually have the biggest show of the year, a milestone, Sweet 16, on July 9th. But before that, we will be at Top Taco on Thursday. I don't know what the date is, but if you Google it, you will find it. And then Romero's on Saturday. And I mean, if you want to look at all of the dates, it's at rmpwrestling.com. Again, we wrestle every single weekend. So, yes, look up on there and shoot me a message and let me know that you're coming to the show because I would love to say hi as well.
There we go. And if I'm doing my due diligence as host, I'll try to have all those handy dandy links in the descriptor and then hope for the best that they'll let you click them instead of just having to copy and paste. But
Okay.
Lola, thank you for coming on the show and talking about your career. It's been a blast being able to sit down and chat for a bit. The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaOfCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the descriptor below.
For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., 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 please email rzkamer, Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.